Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Here is a confirmation of the illusion that the Western world has free people and they have societies ruled by laws, and we are all equal in front of the law, and rules, regulations apply, and nobody can violate them without penalty. Well, this is just a facade. In my videos, I said many times this, and now is another confirmation. I have here 3 articles discussing the same issue, which is, if they want, they can bypass any law, any policy. They can issue a waiver, something that is saint, like you can't break that for everybody else, but sometimes can do that. Why? Because others determine that. In the recent memory, we have the example of the French President Emmanuel Macron, who single-handedly made a law, or at least a policy, and that is what? The pension reform in France. One person, it's a process. It has to be voted in the parliament and so on, and then goes like here's the process. Macron took it before it went in front of a vote of the elected officials, right? And he signed it, sent it, and it was a law. It became whatever it needed to become. He changed the law. He changed the law of the pension reform. One person. And everything was constitutional. They reserve the right to do these kind of things legally. There are certain ways where if we say something or we vote for something that they don't like, they can bypass that and override it legally. I'm going to give you another example regarding the same kind of, bypassing something. And it's not only France. France is one example. The other example is the Electoral College in the United States of America. You have the public vote, and we vote, the people, popular vote, and then we can vote in one way, but then it has to be voted by the Electoral College, and they potentially can override our vote. That is, the popular vote is left, and the guys over there, they vote right. Again, that was a buffer, so they don't allow us to, if we want, overthrow them. Now let's get back to, or at least let's start talking about this issue today. It is about the arms that the United States, the State Department, Antony Blinken, decided to give Israel, bypassing the Congress. So, when you sell something, when you send them a package to as a country, it has to be approved, voted in Congress, the same as Macron with his pension reform. Well, there is always a way to bypass this kind of regulations if you call it in a certain way. It does not have to meet the criteria, but if one person determines that, in this guy, Antony Blinken, then it bypasses everybody else. Remember, Antony Blinken is not an elected official. He, by his power, he bypassed the Senate and the House, the Congress, whomever has to vote for it, that are elected. One unelected official determined that that's an emergency in Israel. Therefore, by his power, that amount of ammunition will be sent to Israel. Not sent, sold. So the elected officials have nothing to say, yay or nay, because one person, an elected official, Antony Blinken, who is partly Jewish, he determined that it's an emergency in Israel. Therefore, United States, we have to send emergency ammunition there. What's the emergency? A different state, not related to the United States of America, not one of the 50 states, is fighting with a group, an organization. And the United States needs to provide the country of Israel with ammunition to fight a group in an emergency. Do you understand how idiotic all this is? You know what? They will not ask you. They will ask Blinken. He's not going to ask me. He didn't ask the Congress for the Congress approval. Bypassed it, like Macron. This is the democracy and freedom that we live in. But I can't bypass, I don't know, a traffic ticket. No way. You know what I mean? Let's go to the first article here. Associated Press. The State Department approves, which is this guy right here, approves the sale of tank ammunition to Israel in a deal that bypasses Congress. Going around Congress, that's avoiding having more power. The Biden administration said Saturday it has approved the emergency sale. What's the emergency? It's a country fighting a group. Emergency sale to Israel of nearly 14,000 rounds of tank ammunition. So there would be 14,000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's at least 14,000 houses. 14,000 possible people. Because they don't hit they hit people. 14,000 Hamas, and Israel doesn't have any more ammunition. So imagine this. Israel was depleted of its tank ammunition already. What does that tell you? How many did they have? 100,000? 10,000? If they used the 10,000 or 50,000 rounds of ammunition for tank, what does that mean? That they used it. Against whom? Against what? You're not supposed to notice the obvious. You're not supposed to. Here, the move comes as President Joe Biden's request for nearly $106 billion aid package for Ukraine, Israel, and other national security is languishing in Congress. Like the Congress is not doing its job. It has to, right? Caught up in a debate over U.S. immigration, Same Democratic lawmakers have spoken of making the proposed $14.3 billion in American assistance to the Middle East ally, which is Israel ally, contingent on concrete steps by Israel Benjamin Netanyahu's government, and this is the key word, to reduce, not to eliminate, to reduce civilian casualties in Gaza during the war with the group Hamas. What was here? So 14,000 rounds of tank ammunition worth more than 106 million. Money is not an issue, as you know, for some people. So it's like you give someone money in a war and tell them, can you, what was the word? Reduce the civilian casualties. Now reduce, meaning this. From 100, you can reduce this to 1. You reduced it. The term reduced is general. It doesn't tell you how much. So from 100 civilian casualties, you reduce it to 1. That's 99 reduction. But so is a reduction from 100 to 99. You reduce it 1. Imagine, let's say you killed or someone destroyed 20,000 civilians. And contingent to reducing the number from 20,000 to 19,999. That's a reduction of 1 civilian. You have the package. You understand how these guys are functioning? For the reduction. Reductions meaning -1, it's a reduction. -2, reduction, 3, 4, 5. Can you imagine that, telling the Russians that? We're going to give you ammunition, but you reduce the number of civilians in Ukraine. Okay, we reduced it by 1. Oh, here it is. That's the first article. Second article. Politico. The same thing. State Department okays sale of tank ammunition to Israel in deal that bypasses Congress. This guy. Now, you think that, let's say, Romania. Oh, I'm born in Romania. Let's say I'm a Secretary of State of the United States of America, which is not impossible. I'm just an appointed bureaucrat, all right, with connections. That's what I am. So I am the new Secretary of State. And let's say Romania finds a, let's say, Hungarian insurgency inside Romania, which is very possible. And, Romania being an ally of the United States of America, Hungary, not so good lately, not so much of an ally. I am sent to Romania as a Romanian born or an origin, how you want to call it. I'm going to go to Romania and I'm going to deal with the Hungarians and Romanians. Do you think that I will not have a little bit of bias? No? All right. Well, you say no. You can't ascribe that from the very beginning. It's an assumption. But if I prove to you that I bypass the Congress, the US Congress, with elected officials to give Romania 14,000 rounds of ammunition for tank to fight the Hungarian insurgency inside Romania, would it seem to you a little bit that maybe my Romanian origin has to do with the Romanians, me bypassing and calling it an emergency? I mean, how retard you want me to become and pretend what I want to say here? I mean, I'm trying to play here full retard and not saying things the way I want to say. But if this video has a little problem, I'm going to make another video and I'm going to put it on Rumble. And I will use the right terms for everything I wanted to say. So, okay, I'm very irritated with this garbage. We have to keep our mouth shut, because if we say the truth, we observe the obvious. You're called this and called that. And what's strange, people with so-called no power can fuck you up. How is that possible? That means that someone has power, no? Then the third article comes from Russia Today. US approves emergency sale of arms to Israel. The same thing here, the same little thing, how much they want, including 14.3 billion to Israel, they want to do it, and so on. What bothers me is this. You have a state that I would say my assessment is, I'm supposed to have an opinion, Israel has nuclear weapons. And you get a connection between Kennedy, Israel, and Texas, Dallas. All right, it's a connection, and with Oswald obviously being in the midst. Remember, Kennedy wanted to inspect the Israeli program. All right, he wanted to do that, and he didn't get to that. All right, anyway, it was unlucky because Oswald was a criminal. All right. So that's the one. That's my. And then Israel. Remember, if you look at Israel, it's called one of the, I don't know, 7 states as military prowess, power, 7 or something like this in the world. And it fights Hamas, for God's sake. Hamas. With no tanks, no airplanes, no missiles guided by satellite, no cluster bombs, no white phosphorus, no intelligence, no submarines, no nuclear weapons, no unlimited money. And Israel needs the help of United States emergency, and ask Blinken, who is in charge, together with Victoria Nuland of our State Department, let's put it straight, they ask them for help for an emergency. What is the emergency? You're telling me you're losing against Hamas? In a little piece of land over there that you control A to Z? What's the emergency? When these guys are telling me about the West and the rule of law and this and democracy, blah, 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 blah. Okay, look at this, look at France. I will use this example forever. And it's very nice because you can name names. You can name origins, you can name times, you can name the context, and you can call it hypocrisy, and this is garbage. This is garbage. I have nothing invested in either side over there. Why? That's not my problem. But the problem is they make it my problem. Willy-nilly, I'm involved in this. Why? Because money and all that goes over there, including the fact that as an American, if I want to go somewhere, and they find out I'm an American, they're going to hook me up. Why? Because these guys, because Blinken, Nuland, and other... Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.